Hello, welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined as always by my good friend, the Marist alum himself, as he is proudly showing off. Shout out Super Bowl champion Jason Myers. I'm joined as always by my good friend, Mike Luciano. Mike, how you feeling, buddy? What's going on?
Marist College, now Marist University, should have a Super Bowl MVP. They don't. But let's be honest here. They don't win that game without Jets legend Jason Myers and Marist College, now Marist University, alum Jason Myers.
Hell yeah.
Go Red Foxes.
So, go Red Foxes, buddy. Yeah.
It's, by the way, only school in the country that's either Foxes or Red Foxes. We're the only one.
Oh, that is weird.
I think it's surprising, but yeah, we're the only one.
You know what annoys me? So I went to SUNY Cortland, and we're the Red Dragons, and I'm like, that's such a sick, unique name. And then there's another upstate New York school, Oneonta, is also the Red Dragons, and that's what's going on there, bro. Like they stole our whole flow. What is that?
That was like my old high school team. Shout out Pennington. We were the Red Raiders. Now we're the Red Hawks. They changed it after we left. Now the Red Hawks. But when I was there, we were the Red Raiders, and one of our colors were red and black. And then our big rival, not our big rival, one of our rivals. They were just the regular Raiders, and they were also red and black. So eventually, I guess they won out that one, and we changed it.
Did you say Pennington? Pennington High School? Like as in Chad Pennington?
Yes.
Wow, this was meant to be. You were destined to be a Jets fan. That's crazy.
Yes, I also went to high school with Alana Cook, who plays for the U.S. national team.
Well, that's not relevant to this conversation at all.
I'm just shouting out my school. But you didn't come here for alumni talk. You came for Jets talk. We'll get into some Super Bowl Jets angles because Justin, I don't know if you guys saw on social media, had a super duper viral tweet that may have been the story of the day across football media. Sam Darnold talking about the Jets. It's got, I think, 20,000 likes right now. I've seen other posts that have even more likes than that are quoting it. So Jet Press has their viral moment in the sun. We'll also talk about some coaching decisions, some quarterback decisions. J Mark wants to know where your glasses are. I guess you left
them here. No, they're right here, Jay. You know what's funny? I wear my glasses on stream a lot. I don't need them. Like I need them for distance. So if I'm close up with my laptop, I don't really need them. I just kind of forget they're on sometimes. They're right here though, J Mark. But yeah, you mentioned them. I'm in Seattle right now, which is why there's no wall of flags in my background. And if my audio sounds a little, I hope the audio is fine. I got a mic on here. And if the video is a little clunky, blame the hotel that I'm not going to shout out because I did that last time when I was in Baton Rouge and I named the exact hotel I was in. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Here's the address if you want to address your complaints.
Yeah, but it's been a heck of a 48 hours, man. We'll talk more about it later, but I was at the Seahawks parade today. That was incredible, dude. I saw Leonard Williams holding up the championship belt. Got to talk to Darnold yesterday. Awesome guy. We'll talk more about that in a bit. I don't know if anyone has ever been to Seattle, but I ran into this dude on the street who was wearing this like green.
Was he Spoon Man from the Soundgarden song?
No, it's this guy named Fluffy. I think I can share this on stream. He's a beloved motorcycle riding dragon from Seattle where he spreads happiness with dancing and silliness. And he gave me his trading card.
Why did he? That's a hell of a business card. Yeah,
it is. People were taking pics with him and he was handing them out cards. And I was like, what is this? And he said it's his trading card. So I got a vintage Fluffy trading card. Like, it's been a great day.
First edition, mint condition here.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful day. But let's talk Jets, buddy.
First we got the housekeeping out of the way. Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And we're on YouTube. So if you want to support the show, even at this unusual time of night, because Justin had things to attend to in Seattle.
Well, in my defense, Mike, it is currently 3 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm streaming at 3 p.m. So you're the one that's weird here.
So like the stream, that really helps. Subscribing, that really helps. Let's get into some coaching hires that got finalized. It seems like Aaron Glenn's strategy has been, number one, get experienced guys, and number two, get all of the Mike Tomlin assistants that are floating around because Alfredo Roberts is the new tight end coach. And in a return that I didn't think would happen, Carl Dunbar is back as the defensive line coach, who was their defensive line coach back in their heyday. And he has a reputation as one of the best, not only identifiers of defensive line talent, but of developers of defensive line talent. I mean, look, I'm not saying the Jets are going to have guys these good, but what Cameron Hayward has done under his watch, what TJ Watt has done under his watch, this is, I'm not going to say that a defensive line coach is going to win or lose them any more games this year, but in terms of just hiring a veteran defensive line coach, I mean, given the situation, could they do any better than Carl Dunbar? I don't think they could. I think they knocked it out of the park, given what, even if they didn't have all this around them situation-wise, and they hire Carl Dunbar, I would have said, you know what? That's a pretty good defensive line hire. It's a lot better than Eric Washington. I would say that when they hired him last year. Quarterbacks coach, everybody's been waiting on this one because we thought it was going to be some sort of combination of maybe Darrell Bevel, maybe Greg Roman, maybe somebody else. Instead, they go with Bill Musgrave. Bill Musgrave, pretty long coaching resume. He spent the last 3 years with the Cleveland Browns, which is not the best. I'll give him the best, endorsement of his skill. But
hey,
whoa,
whoa,
long time.
Whoa, Mike. He developed 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks with the Browns this year.
Fifth-round rookie, yes.
Right, so. and Joe Flacco wasn't this his first Pro Bowl? Wasn't that?
Yeah, it was.
That's insane.
He's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL going as far back as 2003. Quarterbacks coach with a bunch of different guys, including Matt Ryan. He was the offensive coordinator in Oakland for a couple years. We'll get to that connection a little bit later. Went back down to college at Cal, came back up. Musgrave is pretty much, unless there's like a year or two in the middle sometimes, pretty much unabated, been either a quarterbacks coach or an offensive coordinator for 20 years in the NFL. That's experience. That's a guy that I feel, look, Charles London, I know he's like the name everybody likes to hate. I'm pretty sure he's a decent coach, but if you were to ask me who'd you rather want to hire, Bill Musgrave or Charles London, I'd hire Bill Musgrave. If you're going to ask me Carl Dunbar or Eric Washington, I'd choose Carl Dunbar. Even given the situation, Frank Reich or Tanner Engstrand, there's an argument for Frank Reich. Aaron Glenn is not building this all-star staff because he can't build an all-star staff with the talent he has and the situation he's in. But given what he had available, I can't find it in me to complain too much about this staff. Like, Reich being outdated might bring everybody else down, but that's like a B hire. There's a couple A or B plus position coach hires in here.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Mike. Listen, all of this is going to come with the caveat that I'm still not exactly optimistic about the direction of the organization. I'm still not exactly optimistic about the direction of Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff. And obviously the process to get here has been extremely messy, to say the least. And it definitely, in some cases, reeks of potential interference from the top, if you will, from the ownership group. But I don't mind this staff at all. They clearly decided that they wanted to prioritize experience on offense, which it seems like they did the other thing. They did it the other way around last year, where they went the experience route with defense. They had Steve Wilkes as a defensive coordinator and kind of had some veteran names there with some younger names like, not that Dre Bly is young necessarily, but inexperienced in coaching, in coaching years. This time they went the opposite approach, where they're going the veteran heavy approach with the offensive side of the ball. And I think that's the correct approach. Obviously, Frank Reich has been around forever, former NFL head coach, former NFL offensive coordinator. Then you go in and bring in Bill Musgrave, who I talked about this a little bit on Twitter too, whereas I generally prefer quarterbacks coaches to be more experienced experienced coaches. And we've seen the opposite with the Jets in recent years. Charles London had decent experience. I always hated the argument of, they hired a running backs coach to be the or a former running back to be the quarterbacks coach. Never thought that held much merit.
Frank Reich was a wide receivers coach for a lot of his coaching career.
Right. And it's not like Charles
London. They hired a quarterback to coach the wide receivers.
Right. And London was always going to be fired after what happened last year. I'm not saying that he didn't deserve that, but it's not like he did a bad job with Geno Smith the year before that. So that wasn't a bad hire. Right. But we've seen other, quarterbacks coaches in recent years, whether it was Rob Calabrese or whoever, they're very inexperienced that you really don't want to be the principal guys developing a young quarterback. So they go in and bring in Bill Musgrave. They have Frank Reich. Both of those guys have the experience developing young quarterbacks and working closely with them. We'll see what the Jets end up doing at quarterback, if they end up drafting a Ty Simpson at 16 or if they use the second, third, fourth, fifth round, wherever, to add their young quarterback. But I feel pretty confident they're going to add a young quarterback to their roster in some capacity this offseason. And now I at least think they have a better infrastructure than they did last year. Again, in totality, I would have rather just kept Tanner Engstrand and bring in some veteran offensive guy to help him out. Maybe you wanted to upgrade over Scott Turner, whoever that is. It probably wouldn't be a Frank Reich. I'm guessing he was not going to come out of retirement if he was not calling plays, if he was not going to be, or I know he didn't officially retire, but it sounded like he was going to retire. I don't think he joins this staff if he's, passing game coordinator or whatever. And maybe you don't get Bill Musgrave in that case too. I'm not sure, but I would have probably preferred to keep Tanner Engstrand, but I don't hate that this is the outcome the Jets have gotten. And I think in some ways you could say that they've upgraded.
I think you'd say in a lot of ways they've upgraded, especially because they're achieving what they set out to do. We don't know if it'll work, but the stated goal was more experience. I don't think Aaron Glenn hated Tanner Engstrand. I don't think he was desperate to fire Tanner Engstrand, but
no, not at
he
all.
realized, like, I got to rip the Band-Aid off. If I want experience, I can't keep Tanner Engstrand.
Did he realize that, Mike, or did Woody Johnson realize that?
Or one of the two. Somebody realized that. Somebody realized that. Now, for some reason, this is a good Rorschach test again, because Jets fans, there's a subsection. Again, some of them just have a humiliation fetish and they love it when their team is really bad. But
listen, buddy, the Jets are the team for you if you got that.
But the other thing is, this is a good Rorschach tester where you are as a fan and seeing where other people are as a fan. Because, like, look, we're generally pretty positive about this, but we know that hitting on a position coach hire doesn't really win you extra games. It can improve performance slightly, but it's not. Bill Musgrave is not going to win the Jets any more games than they would. He would just slightly improve things.
Well, that's that. To your point, Maxwell asked that in chat as well. He said, "Do positional coaches make or break a season?" I'm not sure. Not for the Jets, I'm sure. No, they don't. They don't make or break a season. It's supplementary, but it's certainly not. It doesn't hurt having a good coaching staff.
But if you're a Jets fan, or you see Jets fans who are crashing out over this, get a grip, man. Number one, this is a pretty deep. This guy is almost overqualified for the position of quarterbacks coach right now that they hired. They're not going to hire Cliff Kingsbury and a former head like a Brian Callahan to be the quarterback coach who was a head coach and a coordinator and get this other team. They're not going to do that. Even if you're a really good offensive staff, teams don't do that. We'll just pay you more. Well, that's a ridiculous way to do it. Like, this staff is halfway decent, especially considering all of the negative factors that are hanging off this job. The fact they were able to get guys that were under Mike. I know Aaron Carter was under Mike Tomlin last year, and that didn't work. But Alfredo Roberts helped build one of the best tight end rooms in the league in Pittsburgh. He's coming in. Musgrave, very experienced. Carl Dunbar, we all like him. Everybody seems to like that one. All you can ask right now, this team, is, did you improve from last year? I think they've improved from last year, and then they're going to have free agency to spend some money. They got all these top draft picks. Like, they're not going to be a particularly good team last year, but they're laying out a very clear path to be at least better.
Yeah, and I will say this too. I think I like, even though I would have preferred to keep Tanner Engstrand, I think I like this setup more than what it seems like Aaron Glenn's original plan was, which was to hire Wink Martindale to be the defensive coordinator. I like the defensive setup, especially that they're going to have instead, which is Aaron Glenn calling defensive plays and bringing in experienced veteran guys to help out the offensive side of the ball. I think that's a better way to go about it. Whether that was his decision or if that was a Woody Johnson decision, I don't know. And you think context leads me to believe the latter is true, but I do like the current setup that they have. They kept a few coaches as well. We can run through this coaching staff here because they got offensive coordinator Frank Reich. One guy we didn't talk about, Mike. They hired Seth Ryan to be their passing game.
Seth Ryan, third generation of Ryans to coach with the Jets. Buddy Ryan, for those that don't know, during the Weeb Eubank, Joe Namath years, was their defensive line coach. So he was big on Larry Grantham and Jerry Philbin and all these guys. That was Buddy Ryan. That's what got him famous. And then Rex, we don't need to tell you what Rex did with the Jets. And now Seth Ryan, passing game coordinator, 31 years old.
Yes, and it's a big step up for him. I'll say that. Like, if there's anybody on the list of guys that they've hired who's not qualified, quote unquote, for their job, it's probably Seth Ryan. I mean, he was an assistant wide receivers coach and an assistant tight ends coach his last few years. But he, obviously he's coming from that Detroit system that Aaron Glenn still has connections to. It's a little weird that they fired Tanner Engstrand to bring in a guy who's a lot less qualified, not to do the same role, obviously, but as their their token Lions representative on the staff. But it's a big opportunity for him. Like you said, 31 years old. That's making me feel old, or like old dude. That we're getting to the age where it's like, oh, these guys are almost our age. Like,
the guy the Ravens hired, he's what, like 29?
Yeah, and you're 28. I'm be 28 in a few months. Like, ridiculous, dude. But
Kurt Cobain was dead by our age, and he did all that. And Jimi Hendrix too.
He was a lot of famous celebrities. Well, this is it. I'm currently 27, Mike. I got to make it a few more months. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it. I'm not going
to be Jimi Hendrix, guys. I'm sorry.
I want to avoid becoming another statistic. I don't want to be Amy Winehouse. But yeah, Or just listen to other ones.
Or Jim Morrison or whoever, yeah.
Jim Morrison's another one. There's quite a few. There's quite a few. It's enough morbid talk, though. They also keep Nick McKissick-Luke, who was their running backs coach. They kept Sean Jefferson, who I feel like Sean Jefferson has become the new Brant Boyer, where he has survived so many different regimes and has come back.
That may be entirely Garrett Wilson going, I like Sean Jefferson.
I honestly think that's what it is. Because Jefferson, and he predates Garrett Wilson. Sean Jefferson was the wide receivers coach under Adam Gase for 2 years with the Jets. He goes all the way back to 2019 and 2020 with the team. Then they brought him back in 2024 under Saleh, only for him to be retained with Aaron Glenn in 2025. Again, I think like you mentioned, I think that's probably a Garrett Wilson call. They also retained offensive line coach Steve Hyden, and I think that's a big one because we saw how good that Jets offensive line was last year, and you want to keep that continuity, not just with the guys on that offensive line, because they're likely going to have at least, I would say, 3 to 4 of the same starters at a minimum going into next year. There's a good chance it's at least 4 of the same starting offensive line going into 2026. You also want to have the same coaching staff there, and they're keeping Steve Hyden, who I thought did a really good job with the offensive line. Defense, I think they still need a linebackers coach, but they brought in Carl Dunbar to be the D-line coach. We already talked about.
They're interviewing the guy from Houston, the assistant linebacker coach.
They are, and I think they're also interviewing Nathaniel Willingham, who was a defensive assistant last year with the Jets, or assistant linebackers coach. I think they're looking internally there too. The only other guy I think they're keeping is Chris Harris on that defensive staff. I believe he will stay as probably defensive backs coach. But yeah, man, what are your overall thoughts? I'll say this. I'll ask you this question. Compare it to last year, right? What this staff looks like now. Which would you prefer, last year's staff or this year's staff?
This year's staff.
Okay.
This year's, I think, because we put a lot, and again, like hindsight's always 2020. We didn't think Steve Wilkes would be that bad, but there wasn't really a lot of known commodities. Like the known commodities were Steve Wilkes and Eric Washington. Like I think with this, it's not a lot of former coordinators or former this, but it's guys who have been in these roles for a long time in the NFL. Bill Musgrave's been a quarterback coach and quarterback developer for a very long time. Carl Dunbar's worked with defensive linemen for a very long time. Alfredo Roberts has worked with tight ends for a very long time. So I think it's almost like having role player coaches. Like they're just having guys that are, I think, more equipped to do this job. I think Glenn the problem last year, I think he took a bunch of just assistants that had some names and some value, and it's like he's just kind of sticking them around everywhere. Hey, Eric Washington, he coached the defensive line. Okay. Even though you're really bad last year with the Bears. I think this is a little more specialized, which I think is also impressive given even Tanner Engstrand. Like, I feel like part of that hire may have just been, he's the next in line for the Lions. He's kind of near Ben Johnson. Like, this seems like it could totally not work, but it seems like there was definitely a methodology and a process behind this that led them to hires like this.
As Brian says in chat, we have the benefit of knowing that last year's staff was pretty bad. Yeah, the bar is pretty low for this staff to be worse than last year.
Do you think it's better?
I would say that I think it's certainly better on the defensive side of the ball. I feel more confident with Aaron Glenn calling plays, and I feel more confident with just the overall staff that they're building there. I like Carl Dunbar a lot. I honestly like Brian Duker as this, second in command to Aaron Glenn on defense. I think he's qualified for that role as defensive coordinator, just given his upward trajectory over the last 10 years. It's not a guy that they hired out of nowhere, and I think it's somebody that
they did kind of hire him out of nowhere.
Well, they hired him out of nowhere, but I don't think he was this obscure candidate that doesn't make sense. It's not like they made Seth Ryan offensive coordinator, right? Like
that would have been crazy.
He was a high-level assistant in Miami for the last couple of years and has had an upward trajectory for the last decade or so. I think that's a reasonable hire. There's positives and negatives to the offensive side of the ball. Again, I would have preferred to keep Tanner Engstrand. I think he showed enough promise last year that I would have liked to keep him around. I think the upside is a lot higher with him as OC, but I also get the need and the desire to bring in more veteran, experienced guys on that side of the ball, because they did not have much. Like the veteran, quote unquote veteran in the room last year was Scott Turner. Like that was the guy who was there to help out Tanner Engstrand. And, look, no disrespect to Scott Turner. I guess he was an offensive coordinator. He does have some experience, but I'd rather have Bill Musgrave or Frank Reich in a similar role to that. I'm upset that they had to move on from Engstrand, and I would
Engstrand immediately bounced back with an OC job. Then he had to take a passing game coordinator.
No, I didn't expect him to. I didn't expect him to immediately. Also, it was later in the cycle when they officially parted ways with him, so it was tougher for a lot of the guys in that staff to get other jobs. I expect he'll be an offensive coordinator within the next 3 years probably again. But yeah, I don't dislike the offensive side of the ball. I think it's very much a TBD with that side of the ball. Whereas with defense, I think they marginally improved. Again, it's hard to get worse than it was last year. Again, as Maxwell and as you mentioned earlier, the position coaches and the overall supplementary coaching staff is not going to make or break the Jets season. If they can't get a quarterback, none of this is going to matter. But I think they made some decent moves. I certainly don't think it's crash out worthy. I certainly think, given the situation that they're in, I don't hate.
You know who might be crash out worthy? And again, I don't like talking about rivals if it comes back to bite me, but Miami.
Well, I don't mind Patullo as passing game coordinator. That's whatever, I guess.
I like the idea of, we lost Nathaniel Hackett. Let's hire Kevin Patullo. I like that thought.
Did we get to talk about Hackett getting an OC job? Did we get to talk about that?
Yeah, last week. Now,
okay,
before we get to our next thing, going along with that, before we get to our next topic, how about Adam Gase? Poor Justin Herbert. He gets Joe Lombardi, Greg Roman, and Adam Gase back to back to back. This poor guy.
Well, what did they say the official role
passing
for him?
Game coordinator.
It is passing game coordinator. That's pretty high level.
That's not role. Like senior gameplay assistant. That's like a number 3 on the offense.
That's not Rick Spielman's role, which is sit at home and do nothing. Like that's an actual.
Occasionally, Darren Muji calls you, and then when he calls you, you get a commission check. That's not that.
Yeah,
that is
pretty much. No, that's an actual role. Well, I always found it funny with Gase that he never landed another coaching job anywhere after leaving the Jets. And I would think, Mike, that was a him decision. That was an Adam Gase decision. I'm sure.
Not exactly the warmest guy. Probably didn't build a ton of great relationships with other coaches.
I think he has friends around the league. Especially like in Denver and stuff. I think he has
pretty quiet now.
I think a lot of it was he was burnt out. Like he was done after that Jet stint, which it was awful. It was terrible. And he was under constant scrutiny and a lot of it was deserved, totally valid. But I can only imagine how much that probably weighed on him. And I think he wanted to take some time off coaching. I think if he
wasn't burnt out, though, nobody would have hired him for a couple of years after how bad the Jets
I think he could have gotten, quarterbacks coach. I think he could have been a QB's coach somewhere within a year. Like I really
did a great job with the current Super Bowl champion.
Listen, man.
That was another viral tweet this week when Rappaport had that tweet where it was like, Adam Gase worked with Sam Darnold, and you're like, are you kidding me? You can't say
Oh, yeah, like the framing of that, where it's like, yeah, he worked with Sam Darnold. It's like, oh, that's one way to put it. He worked with Sam Darnold. He did.
With Peyton Manning. What was that, 12 years ago? You worked with Peyton Manning?
There were some replies to that I'm not going to repeat on stream because they're probably not appropriate for stream, but they were very funny. And I would suggest go seeking out that tweet because they're good. But yeah, I'm not shocked that, I think he would have gotten another job if he wanted to. Fine that he's back in the league. I don't think hiring his passing game coordinator is like a disaster. Look, man, Nate Hackett's an OC. That's a disaster.
That doesn't mean you could just hire anybody and go, oh, well, someone else hired Nate Hackett.
But we know how the coaching world works. We know the politics at play here. I think if Adam Gase wanted a coaching job, he could have gotten it. I think he just didn't want to coach for a few years. But for his sake, happy for him being back in the NFL. I get the desire to meme that though, as a Jets fan is pretty high. He's not coaching his high school team anymore. Shout out NYJ Matt, who
would you rather have as an assistant coach, Kevin Patullo or Adam Gase?
Kevin Patullo, because at least he's been coaching in the NFL.
Nathaniel Hackett or Adam Gase?
Oh, buddy. What's the role? Passing game coordinator?
Passing game, not OC, but like third tier offensive, whatever that is, quarterback.
So passing game coordinator, maybe associate head coach, whatever.
Third in command, pretty much.
Oh boy, you're gonna make me choose Nate Hackett. I think I might choose Nathaniel Hackett for that job.
I'd take Hackett too.
I think I would, just because Gase has been out of the NFL for 5 years. Like that's an immediate disqualifier for me for most coaching positions. Like that's the biggest red flag of all of this. At least Hackett has been around in the NFL. Like, what's he even doing in his last few stops? I don't know. Again, he's the little brother playing with the controller unplugged, but he's there.
At least people seem to like him.
Yeah, people like him.
I don't get that very much.
And he's hearing good ideas. Like, he's in rooms with people who are smart. Maybe he can pick up some of that. I don't know.
Remember when Greg Williams and Joe Vitt hated each other because of Bountygate, and then Adam Gase hired Joe Vitt because that's his father-in-law?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's what Gase is in between Lombardi and Roman for Herbert. Yes, he was, but he got hurt that year, so it didn't even count.
Right. Well, the only thing Gase has been doing the last few years is he's been stopping by Broncos training camp because Joe Vitt's there, because his father-in-law is there as an assistant. That's why he's been
yeah.
so high. Yep.
Let's go and talk about some Bill Musgrave connections, because Bill Musgrave, perhaps his best OC stint came with the Oakland Raiders, the then Oakland Raiders, in the 2015 and 2016 seasons. His quarterback in those seasons was Derek Carr.
Yep.
Derek Carr wants to come back to the NFL. He had that major shoulder operation, but he says, I'm fully recovered. Apparently, he's throwing well as part of his just regular workout plan now. And the reports are, for the right situation, he would come back. Now, Derek Carr has not played in a year and a half. Derek Carr has not made a Pro Bowl since 2022. But Derek Carr had a winning record when he started with the Saints. He threw 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, completed 68% of his passes. His passer rating is actually higher than it was in his time with the Raiders. And the last year, he had the lowest sack percentage of any quarterback in the league. Now, he hasn't played in a year and a half. He's got a major shoulder injury, and he's going to be 35. So all of that is weighing against it. That's why it probably is not going to work.
And you'll likely have to trade for him.
And you have to trade for him. Maybe the Saints do him a solid and say, we're not going to hold you hostage and just release him. And then
maybe
it's fine. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But if you're the Jets, I think you'd really be doing yourself a disservice if you don't at least kick the tires on Derek Carr, a guy who it seemed like was kind of their number two if Aaron Rodgers didn't say, I want to play there. It seemed like they were going to go all in on Carr, and then he ended up going to New Orleans. If Derek Carr, the Saints fans hated Derek Carr, even though he was better than they were last year and all.
Raiders fans also hated Derek Carr.
I feel like they hate him less now. Just time heals all wounds.
I don't know, bro.
I mean, have you seen what they've done since the whole reason that they left was like, oh, we can improve over him, and look what happened. Josh McDaniels, Garoppolo.
I don't think that has changed their minds. When I was covering the Raiders, I'm not sure I've ever seen a team hate a player more than Raiders fans hated Derek Carr, and it was crazy how much they hated him.
Well, I think now that he's gone, they have a big. You've seen this thing where it's like once a Raider, always a Raider, and then they've always kind of backed their guys. From what I've seen, I feel like it's kind of loosening up.
Okay,
Derek Carr, because honestly, I think that's the correct move. Because I think there was a lot that went wrong there that was not him. I think now he has the connection with Musgrave. So in terms of building this ideal situation, that's one tick in the right area. They have a really good offensive line. That's one tick in the right area. They're probably going to be, like, if they release him, I'd imagine they probably would pay him a little bit more than other guys could pay him. That's another tick in the area.
They have Garrett Wilson.
They're probably going to add another wide receiver in the draft.
They might.
So he doesn't have to just do everything himself. Brian Sternbeck saying, I can't imagine Carr would entertain the Jets. The Jets have a lot more positives going for them on the offensive side of the ball right now, despite how last year went, than the defensive side of the ball. I think if Carr looks at it the right way and he says, oh, it's Bill Musgrave. I know what he's about. I like playing for him. I had success with him. I think there's a world where Derek Carr, who, by the way, would be in the Jets Hall of Fame if he put up the numbers that he put up in New Orleans with the Jets, he would be, they retire his jersey. If he threw 4 touchdowns for every interception, Jets fans would retire his jersey number. I think there's a chance. I don't think they'd be number one in the race here, but I think they'd be up there now.
I'm very curious as to what Derek Carr's market would be if he officially is coming back. Like, did he officially say he's coming back? Was that the word, or is it he's just?
They'd say he'd come back for the right situation.
Right. That's interesting to me. I would be very curious to see if he would get released. I think right now, look, it depends on his medicals and it depends on how cooked teams think he is. If you're getting the Derek Carr, that existed in the NFL before he left, even when he was playing with New Orleans, he's clearly the best option for the Jets this offseason if they're trying to win games, which we know that's their goal. We can look at this from two different perspectives. We can look at this from the perspective of us as fans and saying, well, what's the ceiling with Derek Carr? Are they going to make the playoffs with Derek Carr? I don't think they do, but they probably have the best chance to make the playoffs with him versus Kyler Murray. I think they probably have a better chance with Derek Carr. I think the Jets organization, their coaching staff, their entire setup would much rather go after someone like Derek Carr than Kyler Murray.
But a bunch of older guys, too. I think they want like an older veteran starting quarterback week one.
I think Carr gives you a better chance than really any other realistic option out there for the team, even if it is a Jacoby Brissett, which it sounds like Arizona doesn't want to trade Brissett. And we had a whole conversation about that last week.
They don't want to trade Brissett or Kyler.
I think they trade Kyler. I think Kyler's gone. That would be my guess as of right now.
I think it's harder to trade Kyler though.
So. Well, trade him, release him, whatever. I think given the scarcity in this quarterback market, they'll get something. Whether they have to eat some of his contract, I don't know. They have a notoriously very cheap owner in Michael Bidwell, but we'll see what they're able to get there. But I think Derek Carr makes a lot of sense for the Jets if they are trying to win games this year. Another thing is that he apparently has a very good relationship with Aaron Glenn, as he has spoken highly of Aaron Glenn in the past. And he says
New
that
Orleans again, yeah.
Yeah, I believe he just did an interview where he said that he speaks to Glenn whenever he gets the opportunity to. So there's a mutual respect there between the two. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Jets if they're trying to win games. Am I going to get excited if the Jets trade for Derek Carr or sign him in whatever capacity? No, not really, not particularly. But I do think that the Jets are trying to win games. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji know that they need to win games to save their jobs. Derek Carr probably gives them the best chance to win 8 games next season out of any of the quarterback options they're going to have. So because of that, and because of, like you said, they've also, as an organization, been very interested in Derek Carr in the past. I know it's different regimes, but it's same ownership group, same guys in that front office in some capacity. They have thought very highly of Derek Carr for a very long time on One Jets Drive. And I think if he is made available and he does want to come back and he wants to play for the Jets, I think they will make an effort to acquire him.
I'm really looking at just the market right now for quarterbacks. The only guy, really, Kyler is the only guy that I think could help the Jets win as many games right now as Carr, and then Kyler's his own can of worms. I think Brissett could win close to that, and I think that might make sense at Reich's familiarity. But I not to act like Derek Carr is this amazing quarterback, but I felt for his entire career, like first he actually started winning, and then he got hurt before the playoffs, and then lost that out. Then he had like the worst defenses ever, and John Gruden and all this. Like there were so many things in his career that I think were not his fault that drug him down. Very kind of similar to Kirk Cousins in a way, but Cousins I think had better teams around him in his prime, like especially when he first went to the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. You know,
I think they're very similar guys, and it is weird to see all of the ass shaking for Kirk Cousins to be the Jets quarterback next year on the timeline and be like, oh, I don't even want to consider Derek Carr. It's like, why? I think Derek Carr at his peak was better.
I would probably rather have Carr now than what's left of Cousins. You know, whatever. I mean, again, I don't know what's left of Carr.
But it's the same logic for acquiring both of them.
I do think, not to sound like, how do I put this without sounding like the old guy, the old boomer here? I think a big reason that they're discussed a little differently is that I feel like Cousins has a certain toughness and an edge to him that Carr kind of lacks to some degree. I think a common criticism of Carr throughout his career is he shies away from contact. And I would not fear, but I would expect that if the Jets were to bring him in, good thing to have a good offensive line. But I think it'd be very similar to kind of how Rodgers was his last year, where it's like anytime he's getting sniffed or he's getting touched in the backfield, he's going down, right? He's not evading, especially at this stage of his career.
I mean, he did get sacked the least. He has 2 years where he's been sacked the least of any quarterback.
Yes, and he checks it down a bunch because he does not want to get hit. That's always been a common criticism of Derek Carr throughout his career, and I think that's
an improvement on last year where they didn't even check it down last year.
100%, and that's why I'm just saying that's why I think he's discussed a little bit differently, and it's another reason why I think fan bases that have him as their quarterback tend to dislike him because he's a frustrating player to watch. He's frustrating as well because he's also so talented, like physically.
Oh, he had a gun coming into the league, man.
I mean, again, I don't know what's left of that arm now after the shoulder surgery, but as physically
the accuracy, I don't think is waning though. So
you would hope not, but just a physically dominant, physically gifted passer. And I don't think he ever lived up to his potential in the NFL. And I think that's another reason that fans have been frustrated with him. But, and I think that impacts the overall discourse surrounding him as a player. But yeah, as far as an option for the Jets in 2026, if the medicals clear out and he, check out and he is, still the player that he was before he retired, then yes, it absolutely makes a lot of sense. And I think he's probably their best option.
I almost want him to go to like a combine, just do like a throwing showcase. Like, let me see if you got the velocity, if you could still throw off platform. Like, I just want to see that before I commit to you. I imagine he might do something like that if he's serious about coming back. The Maxwell 837. To be fair, Carr is more exciting than Brissett and company for me. There's a ceiling you get with Carr that you don't get with some of the other guys that have been thrown around as possible Jets bridge guys. And if you're chasing I know that's why they got Fields was the ceiling and stuff like that, but you always chase ceilings in the NFL.
Yes. I think the Jets right now want to chase not only this is going to feel obvious. They're chasing ceiling and floor. By that, I mean, they want a competent veteran that they feel is not going to completely bottom out, but they also want the highest upside of those such players. And I think because of that, you could maybe argue Kyler gives you the higher ceiling than Derek Carr, but I think they're going to opt for the floor of, like, if they had a choice between the two, they would opt for the floor. And just also personality-wise, I think Carr fits what Glenn is.
Everybody who played with Derek Carr likes him, except Michael Thomas. He's the one guy.
Carr feels like a guy that both Glenn and Frank Reich would love. That would be my take. Whereas Kyler, I think, is a bit harder to project that fit in the building. I think it's very easy to do that with Carr.
I do remember that one tweet, one press conference. They were asking him about Michael Thomas, like talking shit about him on Twitter, which Michael Thomas had a great career after Drew Brees left. And Derek Carr was like, literally, I've been in the league for 11 years. There's literally been one teammate that doesn't like me, and it's him. So I think it might be a him problem, which that's also good for Derek Carr. It seems like people like him.
On Brian's point now, he said he walked away from he later clarified his $30 million to not even attempt to rehab with the Saints. What kind of money would it really take from me back with the Jets? He feasibly could have made more in a release settlement in 2026 had he never retired. I don't know exactly. Like, I'll say this. I don't know what his motivations are to return to football other than he just wants to play football. Like, I think that's kind of it. So I'm not sure.
I think he was just demoralized too with the injury, and he's just like, I quit. Yeah. And then he's like, oh shit, maybe I don't want to quit.
Clearly, if he wants to come back, he's feeling healthy enough that he can come back, and he misses the sport. This isn't to say that the Jets are the most attractive, appealing landing spot for him, but I don't think it's a situation where the Jets need to pay him, 2 years, $50 million. Or 3 years, $75 million to come to the team. I don't think it would take that much. And also, again, he's on his current contract. I don't know how the contract situation would work out because I don't know if he's going to end up getting traded or not. I don't know what the Saints would be willing to eat. It's a very complicated situation that's impossible to really gauge without knowing what his market is and how many teams would be interested in him. And
it would still take a lot less to acquire him though than Kyler Murray. So
I would assume. I don't know. I don't know what the market value is going to be for both of them. But this is a very, he's entering a quarterback market where it's a very scarce market. So that is a benefit for him, but he's even more of an uncertainty than Kyler is because he didn't play last year. He retired because of injury. So you have questions about what his health is right now.
Shoulder injury too.
Right. So, maybe he's cooked. Like, I have no idea. It's possible he's fully cooked. But I think if the medicals if the Jets are cool with the medicals and they think he can still play, I think they're going to make an effort for him. And I don't think Carr would be like completely opposed to playing for the Jets. I think he really likes Aaron Glenn. I think it's not a bad situation necessarily in terms of personnel groupings. Like, I think the offensive line is better than what he had for pretty much his entire time with the Raiders, or at least the latter half of his time with the Raiders. Those early Raiders teams with him actually had some decent offensive lines when they had the Jets legend, Kelechi Osemele, Rodney Hudson, and all those guys. Donald Penn, yeah. But
you know what happened that year? Didn't he go 12-3 that year, the 2016? And then I remember he got hurt before the playoffs. Connor Cook played and got killed.
Yes, and then he famously broke his collarbone right before the playoffs. And Connor Cook, Michigan State legend Connor Cook, had to start a playoff game for the Raiders. That sucked. Like that, I remember watching at that time. Derek Carr is like one of the best stories in the sport. What a disaster! Like, that was awful. I think
part of it too is I think so many of the times his teams were like, look at these records: 7-9, 8-8, 10-7, 6-9, 9-8. So you always think you're a guy above him away from competing, but I think a lot of times it was him getting them to that 500 area.
Well, and the defense has stunk. But again, we're not getting that Carr. Like, the Jets aren't going to be. Even if his shoulder isn't fully cooked, you're not getting that version of Derek Carr.
But if you get New Orleans Carr, that's still a 10 times upgrade.
Yes, if they get New Orleans Saints Carr, it's better than any option they have on the market this offseason. And I include Kyler Murray in that discussion. Again, Kyler's ceiling. Is a world where Kyler somehow bounces back and gets back to that like top 10 quarterback level where I think he was at one point, where he was a fringe at Kyler Murray's peak. He was a fringe top 10 quarterback.
Third year when they made the playoffs. Yeah.
I don't think that's crazy to say. I think it's unlikely he ever gets back to that form, but at least there's a ceiling there with him. I think you are more likely to get better quarterback play out of Saints version of Derek Carr than whatever Kyler Murray is now. I just don't know if what you're getting now is Saints Derek Carr. And I would venture to say it's probably not, but I think the Jets might take that gamble.
Even 75% of Saints Carr, I think
yeah.
they take.
This is a fun hypothetical from J Mark, Mike. He said, do you think if the Jets got Derek Carr, so assuming 2023, if the Jets signed Derek Carr instead of Aaron Rodgers, do they make the playoffs with Derek Carr?
Yes. Unequivocally, yes.
Okay. And that 2023.
Like 2023, what were the wild card teams that year? Because I want to see how many extra wins they would need to have.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So
J Mark said isn't Indy paying Daniel Jones? I assume
Steelers made a wild card at 10-7 and as the 7th seed. The Dolphins were 11. Okay, so they need to win 10 games to beat out the Steelers. You don't think they can win 3 extra games with not Zach Wilson?
Well, I also think if Aaron Rodgers doesn't tear his Achilles, they probably make the playoffs that year. So yeah, I would probably say they make the playoffs. Obviously there's the ripple effect of if they're deciding they want Derek Carr, they don't hire Nate Hackett as OC. They probably don't sign Alan Lazard. So they allocate those resources elsewhere and they bring in somebody else to be the offensive coordinator.
Bill Musgrave.
Or they might just keep Mike LaFleur. There's a world where they keep Mike LaFleur if they're not going after Rodgers.
Derek Carr, it would have been.
So yeah, I would say yes. But I also would leave that with the caveat of I think if Aaron Rodgers doesn't tear his Achilles, they also make the playoffs in 2023.
If so many things happen that didn't happen, then they probably make the playoffs.
Story of the Jets, man. That's the story of the Jets.
Brian Sternbeck, he might want to go back to the Raiders and serve as a mentor to his heir apparent. He could ring chase and be a backup to a guy like Goff or May. I don't see the Jets as his first choice. I also don't. That's fair. I just don't think he'd do all this and come back for a backup job.
I was gonna say I don't like. I'm not in Derek Carr's head. I haven't talked to Derek Carr. I haven't
really a shocking lack of polish on your part, Justin.
Maybe he'll text me back later. I don't know, but I don't get the sense that I think he wants to play. I think the reason that he would come back is because he misses the sport. I don't think he wants to ring chase. I mean, I'm sure it would help.
He would love to, but
I'm sure he would love to win a ring, right? If there's a Super Bowl contender out there that's willing to sign him as a starting quarterback,
maybe he'll go for one more try with the Jets just to be like, all right, I could still be a starter, and then maybe it's like a one-year thing, and then he leaves and backs up Matthew Stafford and gets a ring. Who knows?
Yeah, the Raiders feels like he's not going to start there. They're starting. Mendoza's starting week 1 for them. I would be very surprised if he didn't. And I don't think he wants to go be a backup, on like the Patriots or the Rams. The Lions. Like I don't think that makes a ton of sense for him. Or at least I don't think he would want to do that.
Or the Broncos.
It would be the Jets versus other teams that are probably offering him starting jobs. Now, is that Pittsburgh? Well, now it sounds like Aaron Rodgers is probably coming back and staying in Pittsburgh. We're probably not going to know that until June, knowing Aaron Rodgers. But
I want to do something really quick here with Carr. Can find like 4 or 5 teams that aren't the Jets that need, and not the Raiders because they're taking Mendoza. 4 or 5 teams that need quarterbacks.
I would say Dolphins.
Because they're going to get rid of Tua.
I would assume they get rid of Tua. Let's go through. So Steelers, we're going to assume Rodgers stays there.
We can include Steelers.
I think they hitch their wagon to Rodgers.
They could need quarterbacks because it's all like
Browns could need a quarterback for sure.
Browns, yep.
Colts, I think they just end up sticking with Danny. I don't think they would go out. Well, we can include them because who knows if Jones is even ready for week 1. Like we can include the Colts. I think if we're
how about Atlanta because Penix and
the Falcons. I was just going by conference first. The Atlanta, absolutely. No other team in the AFC. Atlanta for sure. Let's see. Any other NFC teams? Minnesota.
All right, yeah, Minnesota. Those will be the
if
5.
Minnesota wants to sign Derek Carr, he'd be a fool not to go there over the Jets. Like
let's look at those 5 teams right now. Miami, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Atlanta, and there was the one I'm forgetting.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Indianapolis would be a better spot than the Jets, but they're going to sign Daniel Jones. So
he's not. It wouldn't be as clear of a path to playing time.
Yeah. Minnesota would be clearly better than the Jets, but we still don't know how in on J.J. McCarthy they are.
He would be, I would assume, I don't think they want to bring in someone to immediately definitely be the starter. I think they want to bring in someone to compete with J.J. McCarthy. So he would have to go there knowing that he's competing.
And I'm going to be honest, I think the Jets and Atlanta are not too dissimilar in terms of offensive structure.
Mm-hmm.
Falcons are in a weaker division, but I think they're kind of honestly even because they both have pretty good offensive lines, and the Jets are a little bit better. They have the one-star receiver and nothing else. They both have a running back. I think
but I think I would much rather play with Kevin Stefanski than Aaron Glenn as my head coach. And I think the biggest detraction for the Jets right now, like we can look at the roster, or at least the offensive personnel, and say it's not bad. Like compared to other teams, it's not bad. But there is
really quick going along with that point. Like Miami, I think it's better than that, and Pittsburgh, I think it's better than that for a quarterback going in.
But the issue is there's a lot of uncertainty with the Jets right now. And if you're going there, there's a very good chance that everyone's getting fired after year one, possibly even sooner than that. And that is usually something that is going to be a major detraction for players that are considering signing in a location, that are considering, in Derek Carr's case, maybe he's choosing where he wants to play. I think that is the biggest thing working against them, is the uncertainty surrounding their current regime. Where, you don't want to, if Derek Carr goes to the Jets and signs a 2-year deal with them, well, Aaron Glenn gets fired after year one. Now they're moving on from him.
Do you think anybody would give him a multi-year deal?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably nothing with serious guarantees in year two in case he's like fully cooked. But I think that's something to consider. And I also, as a broader point, I think that's something to consider with the Jets and free agency, that even though they have all this cap space and, again, I don't think the offensive personnel is terrible. It's a lot harder to convince players to go to a location if they don't know where that team's going to be in a year from now. And the Jets also just have the Jets stink on them. They do. Like they absolutely do. There's years and years and years of losing and misery that you have to put aside if you are going to sign with the Jets. And anything they've done over the last year with this new regime has not exactly done much to inspire confidence that they're headed in the right direction. So you always have to consider that Jets tax. But in a vacuum, I agree that the offensive line is good. You have Garrett Wilson. You have a young tight end, Mason Taylor, I think a lot of people like. You might have Breece Hall. I'm assuming you're going to have some good running back there. If they let Breece walk, maybe they sign Travis Etienne or whoever, right? They're going to have
Dowdle or somebody.
Rico Dowdle, who did some – by the way, my Rico Dowdle take. I said that take at the deadline or before the deadline, and I was like, I would rather have Rico Dowdle.
You said he was better than Breece Hall, not –
No.
Didn't you?
No, I said I'd rather have Rico Dowdle for what it was like 2 years, $12 million, than pay Breece 3 years, $37.
Well, I don't think he's going to get 2 years, $12 million. I think he'll get more.
He probably gets more than that now, but that was my take, and I think that aged decently.
Partially correct, I would say.
Yeah, I think that aged decently well. But yeah, so that's something to consider when you're looking at Derek Carr landing spots. Is like, yeah, the Jets I think look all right in a vacuum, but there's other stuff to consider, right? That players are going to consider that maybe fans overlook sometimes.
Let's talk some Super Bowl because, by the way, you said takes that age well. I would do a lot of NFL draft stuff here. I've gotten a lot right. I've gotten a lot wrong. I don't know if I've ever been more right on a guy immediately in year one than Nicky Manwari. That was awesome. My guy.
He's great, dude.
What do you know? Look at what my large adult son is doing right now.
He's really, really good. Shout out to you.
So the Seahawks are Super Bowl champions, which means 3 former Jets, a couple more, but 3 of note former Jets are now Super Bowl champions. Jason Myers of the illustrious Marist College back in the day.
I've heard good things.
You have heard good things. Now, the best football school in New York, many are saying. Get out of here with that SUNY Buffalo.
Hold on. Now you're competing now with Division III champs SUNY Cortland. Okay.
Can you repeat that division number again?
Listen, you play who's in front of you. You play the competition, Mike. And if you beat them all, then that's what matters.
Now you're sounding like a Patriots fan.
Listen, this past weekend I might have been. I didn't win my $840, unfortunately.
I know that he wasn't like as bad as Jets fans. Like the schedule is a great slander nickname for Drake.
Oh, it's so good, dude. I love, what? There's a lot of things.
It's almost as good as 18-8 for Evan Mobley, but
yeah, there's a lot of things that TikTok does wrong. The TikTokification of nicknames in sports has been awesome. I love the nicknames. It's very fun.
Look, Drake May should not have won MVP. He should have been second place in the MVP voting.
Yes.
But it's been a while since in a playoff game I've seen a quarterback of that even Mahomes' last Super Bowl, I don't think was in hell to the degree Drake May was in this game.
Are you saying that he was seeing ghosts?
I'm saying he as what a way to drop out on as Justin Fried leaves. Was that intentional?
No, not at all.
My God.
I tried to make a joke. Did you hear my joke?
I heard seeing ghosts, and then you went off. I'm like, wow, that's perfectly timed.
Amazing. No, that was the Wi-Fi. Great comedic effect by this hotel's Wi-Fi.
Wow, that was amazing. But
was not my plan.
There was one stat that, not that this guy's a great brawler, but Colin Cowherd brought this up. In the first 8 drives of the game, the Patriots punted 8 times, and Drake May had 7 completions. Great year. In the playoffs, you could physically see the nerves on him.
Yeah.
I think he'll eventually break through at some point, but that Seahawks defense, led by Leonard Williams, who was playing his best football at age 33.
Shout out Leo, big cat.
They had him utterly befuddled.
Another great stat, Mike, is that through 3 quarters, Bad Bunny had more yards traveled with the football than Drake May, or more yards.
I laughed when I found out that the trees were like people. There were people in the
trees. Those were people.
I laughed so hard when I found that out. I'm like, I was in the Super Bowl. No, you weren't. Yeah, I'm the tree number 18.
I'll make one statement about the halftime show. As a connoisseur of flags myself, I love the flags inclusion. All right, I gotta say, might be my favorite halftime show.
Like, for all the reaction it prompted, that was a completely average, all right. Like, that's all right.
Oh, I thought it was great. We don't got to get into that.
I thought it was okay. And it prompted this, like, whoa, oh my God. Wow. It's all right. There's no need to get that worked up about that. It was fine.
Unfortunately, the state of the world we live in at this point. But my official halftime show statement is that the flags were my favorite part, and that it's probably my favorite halftime show specifically because of the flags. And let the record show on that. We're talking about the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, no. Shout out Leonard Williams won the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold, of course. Chaz Surratt, Mike. You didn't mention Chaz Surratt. Jamarcus Weston, who I didn't even realize had signed with the Seahawks practice squad until a couple of weeks ago. He won a Super Bowl. I believe John Benton is their offensive line coach.
Jets assistant.
Yeah, former Jets offensive line coach. He's in Seattle now. So some Jets love there. Look, Mike, I'm sad that I didn't win my $840, but as Jets fans, it could not have gone better.
That was kicking my feet.
I was giddy. Even though I was like mad that I was probably gonna lose my money, I was giddy. Like, if the Patriots were gonna losing it wasn't even like a total beatdown, but it was an embarrassing.
On one side of it was.
Yes. The defense absolutely beat them.
Patriots defense came to play.
They did. Unfortunately, the offense could not do anything. It was a tough watch, man. And like I said, he was kind of seeing ghosts. I got to say. And look, people are gonna look. This isn't a Patriots podcast, but people are gonna be real mad or real, down on Drake May after that performance. He's 23 years old. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's going to be a really quarterback in this league for a long time. But he's clearly not the anointed savior that people had kind of positioned him as already. Maybe he gets there at some point. Maybe he can enter that. People are putting him in top 5 conversations earlier this year. He's clearly not there.
He's certainly top 10. I don't know.
He's top 10. No, I'm with you. I think he's back half of top 10 at this stage.
I think he's probably a little higher. He's in the 2 numbers. I don't want to say back to back. I think that's probably where he is.
Oh yeah. He's dude. At the parade, there was a bunch of kids on one of the floats or buses or whatever, and they were just doing this to everyone in the crowd. And the crowd was doing it back, and I was like,
"We're losing recipes."
This is what have we become? I think he's if we're going to do a quick exercise here, you can say Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, top tier. I don't. Yeah, the next, because people put Burrow in. I don't put Burrow. I think that's the top tier. Is those 3 guys.
Yes.
Then you get to the Burrow, Stafford, Herbert tier, right?
I might put May over Herbert.
I can't get there. I'm not getting there yet.
I'm not
doing it yet. I'm going to stand by my Justin Herbert takes until.
I think I might put Dak over both of them.
Dak would be also in that tier for me. I don't know if they're all in a similar tier for me. I would take Herbert over both of them. I would take Dak over May. I'd put May 3rd behind those 2. But it's unfortunate because part of my reasoning for putting May there is because of his postseason struggles, and then I have to go in here and defend Justin Herbert, who is who's not exactly lit it up in the playoffs.
Ryan Sternbeck, 6 touchdowns against the Brady Cook Jets, fooled people into picking him for MVP.
Well, thankfully he didn't win. Thanks, Stafford deserves.
Imagine if he did and then played like that.
Would have been a tough look.
Hell to pay by that thin of a margin.
Would have been a very tough look. Honestly, good question, Mike. And this is going to segue into talking about Sam Darnold in a sec. Where do you rank Sam Darnold now in the NFL's quarterback tiers? Like where?
I actually have a ranking up. Let me see if I could find out.
Amazing. I'm curious. I think he's top 15 for sure. The question is, how high are you willing to rank him, right?
I would say,
I don't know if he makes the fringes of the top 10. I think he might. You could argue he's top 10, like the very end of the top 10.
I have him 14.
Okay. Who are the 4 names right ahead of him?
Baker Mayfield. This is 13 to up. Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love.
Ooh. Okay, Love, yes. I think you could make an argument for the others. I think Love definitely is ahead of him. The others, I think you could make a case there. Baker did not have a great year. I think with him, it's always going to be like he's just the size. The size does matter with Baker Mayfield, and I think especially with his frame, I have concerns about the durability. He's tough as hell, and he's obviously got a great arm. But I think I don't know. I think you can put Darnold ahead of. I think I would put Darnold ahead of Baker.
I wouldn't hate it. Yeah.
That
one's very malleable. I think that's the highest I'll go, though.
Who was you said who else?
Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence.
Do I want to put do we put Caleb already? Like I think Caleb next year is definitely going to be out of Darnold. This year,
that throw against the Rams, I'm like, how many guys in the league can do that?
He's so unbelievably talented, Caleb Williams. Like he's one of the most.
Lawrence had the great year, so he'd have to be above him.
Yeah, I think Lawrence fair. I'd probably put Darnold ahead of Caleb too, but like it's just because of consistency. Like if Caleb can, and I think he will, if he can get even a smidge more consistent, like game over game, I'll probably put him there too. But I think Darnold top 12 feels like a safe spot for Darnold at this stage. Which shout out Sam Darnold, dude. That's awesome. Like I'm so happy.
The fact he even got there,
yes,
from where he was.
Nicest guy. And look, I obviously I got to speak with him yesterday. Dude, like the nicest dude. Like I've done a good amount of these like Raising Cane's events. I think he might be the nicest guy that I've done with that I've interviewed at these events. He's up there.
It's easy to be a nice guy when you're the quarterback who just won the Super Bowl. I'll say that.
It is, but you be like there. Sometimes some of the athletes aren't as welcoming, right? I'm not going to name names with that one, but like some of the nicest people. Al Horford was awesome with the Celtics. Wonderful guy. Saquon was really great. Saquon was a really nice guy. I'd put Sam right in that category as well, where it's just like the nicest, most welcoming guy. And I'm glad I got to ask him that question. And I didn't. You don't see this in that video. If for those who you can find that on my Twitter. I asked him if Sam had a message for Jets fans after the Jets fans who basically like. I don't think I've seen a fan base, Mike, that is more unanimously in support of one of their team's former quarterbacks than Jets fans are with Sam Darnold. Like normally you'd expect
you can't hate the guy.
I know, but normally you'd expect, and this is true for pretty much every other case, a young quarterback busts and fails with their team, right? For the team that drafts him and they trade him away after 3 years. 99% of other times, in pretty much, I can't think of another scenario where it's not this. In most cases,
picked this high and then he failed and came back. Not like a journeyman like Brad Johnson.
Well, no. Well, I'm specifically referring to like the fan base's opinion of that player. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Normally, if that scenario happens, fans will hate him, right? Whether it's fair or not, right? Fans will continue to hold that against that player, and maybe they're not going to actively root against them, but they're certainly not going to root for them. I don't know a Jets fan that does not root for Sam Darnold and does not, actively support him throughout his career. And I think that is a really special thing, that a special connection that Jets fans have with Sam Darnold. And it's one that, when I asked him that question, you don't see it in the video, but he like paused for a few seconds and he kind of like thought about it, pondered it. And you could tell with his body language and his like overall demeanor that he was very sincere with his answer. And not only that, but that he really regrets that things did not go better with the Jets. Like I'm sure, I don't want to say eats him alive because I don't want to go that far, but like it hurts him when he thinks about his time with the Jets. And he said in this interview, and he said this in other interviews too. This wasn't the first time he said this, but he said that he regrets not doing more. He always thinks he could have done more for the Jets.
When you're an athlete of that stature, that was the first time in his life athletically where they said, not only did you not succeed, like you failed. You failed very noticeably. And
look,
I think he doesn't present as such, but you could tell he's carrying that.
100%. And look, we know, and Jets fans know, that the Jets failed Sam Darnold more than Sam Darnold failed the Jets. This is not a Zach Wilson situation. I think it's as clear as any, situation in recent history with a team failing a young quarterback.
I can't think of one even close.
Yeah, especially now seeing what Darnold has been able to do since leaving. Like we said that even when he was still when he was a backup with the Niners, we were like, yeah, the Jets failed.
I will say though, like my faith was because Carolina, he was bad too.
He was.
After Carolina, I'm like, well, maybe this is just Justin Fields where he's just bad.
Well, but it was. I think even if he was just bad, the assumption was still, well, the Jets still ruined him. Like that was still the belief, and I believe that as well. If he never got to this point, which I'm so happy he has for his sake, but if he never got to the point where he was a starting caliber NFL quarterback and a good one at that, I still would have held the belief that, yeah, the Jets failed him way more than he failed them. But all of that to be said, is to say, I'm so happy for him to see him get to this point and to see him celebrate with Seahawks fans. The last couple of days has been really, really cool to see because the Seahawks fans are awesome.
Good fan base they got there.
Really
Jet fan. Darnold wanted to be the guy for us. That's the thing. Like so many guys with their tail between their legs run away from the Jets. I don't want to. He wanted to be the guy who fixed it.
He wanted it so bad. Like I think he wanted it more than and maybe any other. I think he wanted it more than Sanchez. I think he wanted. I mean,
he was bad here, and Jets fans love him. Imagine if he was good here and he was still the quarterback.
Right.
What would have happened?
I think he wanted to be the guy that turned around the Jets, and he wanted to give this fan base that he continues every time he does.
He could have shit on this team.
Yes.
Every single day of the week, and he never did. And he has every right to with how they handled the early parts of his career.
100%. He every time he does one of these media junkets, these pressers, he is given some kind of a leading question about the Jets. Some opportunity that he would have to take a shot at the team, and he never takes the bait. Never.
And Rodgers did, Devontae Adams did, all these guys do when they leave the Jets.
They go out, others go out of their way to do it. Darnold is being asked questions about it, and he still says no. And it's because I think of the admiration he has for the fans. Like I really think that's a big part of it because he has no reason to have any admiration for the organization. The way that whole situation went down, I think they did right by him trading him, and I think honestly, like he should be thanking Joe Douglas in some ways for trading him because I don't think this ever happened.
That plays into it too because there was at a point people like to make it seem like there was this big debate. Darnold, there was no debate. Like they were going to they hired a new coach, a new GM.
Yeah. Well, there was a fan debate. It was 50-50 with the fan base.
I don't even think there was zero chance they were going to hold on to Sam. I don't even think it was 50-50. It might be 70-30. Like they weren't going to do it.
I remember the fan base being extremely split, but I'm with you, Mike, in that the organization, they were never there was genuine, like according to reports, Robert Saleh wanted to keep Sam Darnold. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. Don't believe that. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how, if that's true or not, but I do think there were some
remember Ben McAdoo wanted to take Patrick Mahomes?
I know. Well, whether that's true or not, I do think there were people in the building that really, really believed in Sam and believed that he was going to be the guy. And remember what Joe Douglas said even when he was traded. He said that he's probably going to succeed elsewhere, but we had to make this move for the organization. And I agree with all of that. 100%, it's the move they had to make. And we've gone over this a million times, but they had the number 2 overall pick in a supposedly stacked quarterback class. Obviously, we know how hindsight didn't exactly, hold up there. Zach Wilson goes number 2 overall. Trey Lance goes number 3 overall. Maybe it's not as stacked as we thought, but that was
11. Mac Jones goes 15.
Right. That was the belief at the time. Was this was a stacked generational quarterback class? Jets had the number 2 overall pick. You had 3 years of pretty bad Darnold tape. Darnold tape. I know he went 7-6 as a starter in year 2. Year 3, he regressed. He got worse. And you had a decision to already make on his 5th-year option. Rookie contracts running out. I just don't think there was any world where you could have justified keeping him. I don't think it would have made sense for the organization. And again, I don't think Sam Darnold becomes nearly the player that he is today if the Jets do keep him. A lot of factors had to go into that. So it's easy to just play hindsight with that. And this is the conversation that's been done ad nauseum at this point. The team that should get the shit for getting rid of Sam Darnold is Minnesota because they straight up saw him last year. And all of that is also to say that I agreed with that decision. I thought that moving on from him made sense. And I'll go as far as to say this. I said this back in, a year ago today, roughly, or whenever the Seahawks signed Darnold, it's like March of last year. I was on record saying that I thought that they made a mistake and that I thought that was a downgrade going from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. Oh, boy, was I wrong. Boy, I was very wrong.
I thought it was more like 6 and 1, half a dozen. in the other. But I'm like, this
Sure.
this won't help them get to the Super Bowl. Oh, but it did.
Here they are, right? Here they are. But that's a
Veteran
credit
Jet fan, talking about other fan bases, loving their other quarterback winning a Super Bowl. He said most Lions fans were happy for Stafford. That's a pretty good
comparison. That's a good comparison. But at least the difference there is Stafford was pretty great with the Lions. Like Stafford didn't.
He was there for so long and he didn't win. So everybody knew it was time.
He made the playoffs with them multiple times. I believe he won playoff games. Did they win playoffs? No, they didn't win any. All right. Well, he made the playoffs with them. And
there was that one where they got Kings Lakers level hosed by the refs when they were playing the Cowboys.
Right. That's right.
But they straight up got hosed in that one.
Yeah, I mean, he was there for a very long time. He had a lot of success with them. He made the Pro Bowl with them. Like it's the closest comparison we can get. But even then, it's like, man,
at least
Darnold didn't do any of that.
Decade a pretty good play out of him,
Right. Darnold, they got 3 years of bad quarterback play.
And then now here he is. Super Bowl champion. Dan Marino didn't do it. Lamar Jackson hadn't done it yet. Josh Allen hadn't done it yet.
Nope. He's the first from that draft class. Lamar Jackson hasn't done it. It's awesome. Good for him, dude. Could not be happier for Sam.
Now, here's the trivia I want to end on because the biggest myth in sports is, oh, they'll be back. Not really. Only 4 quarterbacks have ever lost their first Super Bowl and then won one.
Ooh. Oh man, my NFL.
There's only 4 that lost in number 1, went back and won it.
I'm gonna just be guessing names because my knowledge of NFL, like past NFL Super Bowls, is not good. We'll say Joe Montana.
No.
Okay, I don't know who lost Super Bowls, so I'm gonna be bad with that. Oh, now Brady won his first one, so it's not Brady.
There's one is active.
One is active. Mahomes.
No, he won the first one.
Won his first one. Obviously, Burrow went there and hasn't been back. What is this active player old, or are they like okay? It's probably someone obvious that I'm missing. It's not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it's Jalen Hurts.
It's Jalen Hurts.
He's one of the 4.
When did they go to the? Oh yes, that's right. That's right. The other 3 are not active.
The other 3 are not active.
Chad's probably better at me than this. If you want me to name obscure Jets players, I got you. I'm telling you who won the Super Bowl in 1985.
Mike Zimmerman has a second one. Len Dawson.
Dawson with the Chiefs. All right, fair. I was never
lost the first one and then Super Bowl 4 after the Jets won.
I was never going to guess Len Dawson.
So Len Dawson and
give me hints. Give me hints with the other 2. Give me.
They're both in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I assumed they were. I guess they didn't have to be. But I assume they were. AFC or NFC?
Both AFC.
Both they both lost and won in the AFC?
Yes.
Did Elway lose his first?
Elway's another one. He lost his first 3, came back and won his last 2. And I remember he basically had 3 Drake May games in a row in the Super Bowl. And then I was watching that doc on Netflix, and his family was literally like, we don't want him to go back to the Super Bowl in those last 2 years because they thought like this would happen again. But then he won one and he won the last one. So Elway's won.
So Marino never won one. Jim Kelly never won one.
This is a hard one. So this is going to be the hardest one.
All right, give me the initials. Give me the initials then. AFC. It's not Roger Staubach. It's AFC.
No, it's not Roger Staubach. BG.
Oh, Brian Greasy? Or you know what I mean? What I mean? What
father,
Bob Greasy.
Bob Greasy is the other one. He lost Super Bowl 6 to the Cowboys, and then he won 7 and 8.
Which coaching staff is Brian? Is he with the Niners still? Brian Greasy?
No, I think he's out of coaching.
Oh, he's not even coaching anymore. He was recently with the Niners. That's right. And the Jets interviewed him. Bob Greasy, yes, fair.
So those are the 4. So the odds of getting back and winning it's historically very slim. And if you do it, you're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame or Jalen Hurts. That's
Hey, listen, if Hurts wins, like if they win another Super Bowl,
Jim Plunkett got 2 and he's not. I think he's the only one though that won 2 and is not in. So
Eli.
Well, Eli eventually will get in.
You think so?
Eventually, he's going to get in.
You would. I think if it's getting close to like the last year of eligibility, the voters will probably put him in because they'll be like, we have to put him in. But
there is no like last year of eligibility with the Hall of Fame. Like there's a last year where you go into the senior track, but
right.
You could be in there for a while. Like it's not like baseball where it's 10 years. Like
right.
Because the NFL stupidly, because Belichick's not in now, like they only put in a certain number a year. It's like, well, why? Like, why is there only 6 that go in every year?
You know my hot take I don't care for Hall of Fame discourse.
I care immensely.
I know you. A lot of people care a lot. I really think it's so like overrated. It's so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Like,
it may be hypocritical as sports journalists, but sports journalists, particularly one that have Hall of Fame votes, are just the most arrogant, snarky, full of themselves, unbelievable, egotistical weenies that have ever existed.
Well, let's say not all of them, not friends that we might want to have on the show, but not all of them.
Well, there's some people that say two things. Either there's three things you can do. Two of them are bad. One, you vote legitimately, which a lot of people do. Two, you make this big up-to-do production about, like, I remember Tom Verducci always did this. There was a video of him signing his ballot, which he put Kurt Schilling on, which I have a problem with. But
I was going to say, I feel like MLB voters are worse with this.
They're worse, but there's more of them, so that's why.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 400 something of them, and then there's 50 for football. And then it was like he had like an ink quill pen, and then he put that old wax on, and he goes like, I think the line he said was something along the lines of, "I'm holding the weight of history in my hands, and it's heavy." I'm like, and then the other one, and Verducci's a nice guy and a very good reporter, but like, come on. And then the other thing that they do, you ever see those guys like, because it's all steroids on the Hall of Fame ballot, they'll vote like a blank ballot, or they'll vote one guy. It's like, well, here's my column explaining it, and then they get hate clicks.
Yes.
That I hate too.
We didn't get to talk about
so many of those guys.
We didn't get to talk
Eli
about.
Won't get in. I don't know, but
we didn't get to talk about Belichick not making it that much. I don't think we really
mentioned it. But look, nobody is giving the Jets more misery than Bill Belichick. The fact he's not in is the disgrace of the highest order.
I kind of like. I understand why it happened. I understand. I think at least for a few voters, because you can only vote for a certain number of people, right? Isn't it like 3 or whatever you get to put on your ballot?
Well, because Belichick and Kraft were in the senior, like, you can only vote for somebody that non-football thing, so they're like, it's a problem with the process. Give me a break.
There were some voters who were like, well, he's going to get in anyway, so let me vote for other guys who I think are deserving. That, I understand that reason.
11 out of 50?
Well, I also think some of them, as veteran Jet fans said in chat, the Pats cheating definitely played a factor.
Here's why it's not going to play a factor, because Brady's going to get in immediately.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's a reasoning that, like, I think that reasoning is pretty silly. But I do think that's
the problem, because they're not going to apply it to Brady. They're going to apply it to Belichick and Kraft, which I think is not fair. That seems personal.
I'm just saying I understand the voters who were like, well, I assumed he was going to get in, so I wanted to vote for others who I thought were deserving. Like, that right there is a problem with the process. Like, maybe there shouldn't be.
It's like if you're a steroid guy for base, like, I'd vote the steroid guys in the Hall of Fame. Bonds, Clemens, A-Rod.
Well, it's very selective with the way they've done that.
Yeah, but then there are people, I won't do it, and then they vote for, like, David Ortiz.
Or like Piazza's in. Like, Piazza was never officially confirmed, I know, but
I've told the story before, but Pudge Rodriguez, who's in the Hall of Fame, he was like 5'9". One year he came into camp like 230 and ripped. And they're like, how'd you get so ripped? He goes, well, I started eating more salad and going on walks with my wife. I'm like, okay, yeah. That's why your forearms are jacked, right? Because you eat salad.
You would inject the lettuce. You'd inject the lettuce with
like Popeye with the spinach. You just go.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's Popeye was putting roids in the spinach. I think you just cracked that, Mike. That's what he was doing.
Bringing back a Jets thing. They're talking about Jets and steroids. Do you remember LaRon Landry?
Yeah, of course.
With the Jet, go look at his arm. He looks like the Incredible Hulk. It's like there's no way that's real.
He was suspended for
PEDs. Like, I didn't take any. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, full on like PED, like high profile PED suspension in the NFL. Like, what's the last one?
It's been a while. I think they term it now as like violate the substance abuse policy, and they don't really disclose it, so it can be.
And then but sometimes it's like, a lot of times the athletes are like, oh, yeah, I was taking this prescribed medication for whatever. Like,
the doctor told me to do it, and they had a thing in it I didn't know. Like,
as opposed to like, oh, this guy was just taking steroids. Like, maybe it's just I guess they've cracked down on that. And
I think everybody's on steroids. Look how physical you have to be in football. You think
everybody? Oh, I thought you meant like me and you. I'm like, I don't think I'm on steroids. Look at me.
Leonard Williams is 33 years old. He's that big and that jacked and that fast.
Are you accusing
all of that's natural?
You're accusing Leonard Williams of being on steroids right now?
I'm accusing every player on both the Seahawks and the Patriots, Sam Darnold included.
You think Jason Myers is on steroids?
Possibly. Like how hard you have to kick a ball to kick it 60 yards in the air accurately.
You think you think Xavier Gibson was on steroids last year?
I wouldn't put it past me.
Okay.
Steroids don't make you catch the ball better.
No, but who's like a small, tiny guy? Like, remember Trendon Holiday? You think he was on steroids?
I think he maybe put on an extra 10 pounds. They don't all have to look like Barry Bonds.
10 pounds. And he's 150.
It's like Andy Pettit always said, well, it's for recovery. It's like that.
Yeah. Well, they do prescribe steroids for recovery.
Exactly. That's what Andy Pettit got dinged for.
What do you think?
They gave it to him when he got hurt, and he's like, I was taking it to recover from an injury.
This is a crazy conspiracy theory, Mike, and I'm not sure I don't think I can endorse this. I don't think this is an official position of the Jet Press podcast.
I think it's something that if the next time somebody gets caught, I'm going to go, I told you, but until then, I'm going to...
Yeah, you're going to be like, yeah, he's doing it, so everyone else is doing it as well. You know?
I just think it's so physically demanding that it's hard to imagine the human body naturally...
Wait. Really quick, fun exercise that might be a little problematic, but it's fine. Who's the most likely and least likely player on the Jets roster right now to be on steroids?
Michael Clemens.
Oh, yeah. And it's not, okay, just to clarify, they're not accusing anybody, obviously. We're just saying, like, looks like a guy who could be on, you know?
Probably Austin McNamara.
Least likely, or like Thomas Hennessy. Or
it was either Nick Folk or McNamara.
Oh, Nick, yeah. Well, maybe that's the secret behind Nick Folk's late career resurgence.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm thinking McNamara.
Maybe there's something there. Or like, I don't know, who else would, like Tony Adams being on steroids would kind of be funny. Like, I'd be like, how did that happen? Or no, I got it.
There could be a roid rage component.
I got it, Mike. It's the least likely is Jamal Pritchett. That's who's the least likely.
I mean, like active roster.
They signed him to a reserve contract. He's on the roster.
You know what I mean.
Like, he's on the roster. He's under contract with the New York Jets. I think Jamal Pritchett is the least likely. I mean. Clemens has got to be the most likely. Assuming Clemens doesn't come back next year, who else would be there? Like,
honestly, maybe this is going to be a hot take. Like, look, they're probably going to draft. I know that it seems like the default Jets mock draft, which I really love, is Arvell Reese 2 and Mekhi Lemon 16.
I don't think Lemon makes it to 16.
I think he does.
Oh, I don't know.
I just think it just seems like every year, isn't there always like 30 guys where they're like, they won't make it to 15, and then somebody has to. There's going to be a surprise or two in there too.
Brian said the audio's been cutting out the last 2 minutes. Well, that is very unfortunate. If that's my audio or all of our audio.
Yeah, well, so let's just to finish up this point though. Like, it would not surprise me if they get like an Arvell Reese and maybe sign a free agent and be like, hey, Michael Clemens, defensive depth, come back on a 1 year. I wouldn't hate it, would you?
I don't think you could bring Clemens back. I think if I have a take about Michael Clemens,
I think he will be on a team next year as a backup defensive end.
100%, and I think he is going to be this year's candidate to get the Javon Kinlaw contract. Not 15 million a year. But I think
laughed on this show before.
I think Zach Rosenblatt also said this. I think he's going to get more than people think. I think there is, a market for a guy who has had a lot of experience, playing starting reps, who is a big-bodied, physically imposing defensive end who can set the edge. Look, Jets fans have seen enough of him, and we know his limitations as a player, and they're very, very notable limitations.
I dare you to give Michael Clemens $15 million a year. I dare you.
I think Tennessee.
I would rather have given Michael Clemens that than Javon Kinlaw.
I don't know about that
year.
I don't know about that. I mean, they're both. It would be bad. But
I had to do it, gun to my head.
Reuniting with Saleh in Tennessee, reuniting with Ulbrich in Atlanta.
I feel like all of the Saleh Mope guys are going to go to Tennessee or Atlanta.
Didn't Saleh bring White Cotton with him to Tennessee as well?
Did he?
I think
he did.
I think he did, which that makes Tennessee even more likely.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe. Yeah, there you go. So I will predict right now. My prediction: Michael Clemens signs a 3-year, $20 million contract with the Tennessee Titans, which is more than I would think he should get. But I think that's very, very feasible.
I will say though, if they get maybe because I just did my recent mock draft. I had the Titans getting Ruben Bain at 4. Bain and Michael Clemens is just like, let's just beat everybody up on the defensive line.
It is, but it's also like, let's just get Lamar Jackson to run a read option and you're fucked. Like that's also what it is.
By the way, for the Jets, I had Reese at 2 and Lemon at 16.
I just don't know. Like, as veteran Jet fans saying, did you see Daniel Jeremiah's description of Mekhi Lemon? Highly technical, explosive playmaker with a running back's body and a linebacker's temperament. That's a great description of him.
The only way he's still wide receiver 3. If Tyson's healthy, he's still wide receiver 3.
The only way that I think he falls to 16 is because it would have to be because teams haven't learned their lesson that they did with Jackson Smith and Jigba, where it's like, oh, this guy doesn't run a 4.35 and he's not 6'3". So
I just think Mekhi Lemon seems more slot limited than JSN was.
Maybe, but he's also so clearly the most, the best route runner in this class, the most fluid. I would say the most fluid athlete of the top wide receivers.
Healthy Tyson, maybe. Tate is the jump ball. They're totally different players, but
100%. I think Lemon's an even smoother athlete and smoother route runner than Tyson.
For that mock, I had Tyson 6 to the Browns, so he's gone.
I don't know if Tyson goes that high. I think the medicals are going to be an interesting discussion there because he hasn't had a healthy year. He didn't have a healthy year.
There at 16, you take him.
Yes, yeah. If any of those top 3 wide receivers are there at 16. Which I'm not sure they will be, but if any of them are there, I'd feel very comfortable taking any of those guys at 16.
So I had Reese 2, Lemon 16. I had Dylan Thieneman at 33, and then D'Angelo Pons at 44.
Shout out to D'Angelo. I talked to D'Angelo Pons. I interviewed him.
He starts over Brownlee in the nickel, and then Brownlee's kind of like the dime back move around because he can play outside too. So like as Aria gets hurt, he can go over there for a little bit.
Veteran Jet fan said Jeremiah Lemon at 7 was big board, and Lemon is his favorite receiver in his class. Yeah, I agree. Lemon is also my favorite receiver in his class. I think I said a while back that like Carnell Tate makes more sense for the Jets if they want like a Garrett Wilson compliment. I think Mekhi Lemon is going to be so good. I'm a huge.
I think all 3 of them are going to be good. So.
I agree. No, I agree. Lemon is my favorite receiver in this class. He fits what I want in a wide receiver, which I prioritize separation skills more than anything else. And if you don't have separation skills, I think that's a big red flag.
Well, the other 2 do, though. That's the problem.
They do, but Lemon's even better. Lemon is the most fluid and just best overall route runner in this class. He's awesome after the catch as well. And like Veteran Jet fan said, he plays with his hair on fire. I think that's a great description. I love him as a prospect.
I will say that he's going to have to completely relearn because again, USC is not as NFL-y in offense as a lot of people make it seem. So he's going to have to basically learn a whole new route tree.
Worked for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He did all right.
It did work for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Was he pre-Lincoln?
2021 was he was drafted. So when did Lincoln Riley get there?
Lincoln Riley. Has he really been at USC for that long?
Amon-Ra was also a 4th round pick.
2022. So he was pre-Lincoln Riley.
Pre-Lincoln Riley.
God, man,
what USC receivers have been drafted since then?
Not a lot.
No one immediately comes to mind. Obviously this year you're gonna have 2 with Mekhi Lemon. Jacoby Lane is also gonna get drafted.
Yeah, Pittman was before.
Oh, Drake London. Drake London
is just a physical freak.
No, hold on. Drake London, Jordan Addison, Michael Pittman.
Pittman was that late?
No, Pittman might have been after. Pittman was 2020 or before that. But Addison and London were absolutely after that.
I bet the Vikings are regretting that pick a little bit.
Well, he's a great player.
Did he get arrested again?
Yes, but he's a great player. He's a really good player, Jordan Addison. Unfortunately, just
yeah,
he's got the off-field stuff.
Veteran Jet fan. I like Jade Mayava for next year too. I do also.
Yeah, I'm very excited that he went back to school for his sake, and I'm really interested to see what he can do in 2026. But anyway,
by the way, the NFL Combine invite list came out today. Trinidad Chambliss is not on it.
I know. Well, he's still trying to go back.
That leads me to believe. I think the NFL thinks he's going to be allowed to go back.
He was fighting tooth and nail to go back to school. He does not want to go to the NFL.
Which I know I've said that before. Does that not that concerns me a lot?
No, it does. It does. It's not something that's
imagine somebody said I'm suing the NFL to not do like that's how badly he doesn't want to be in the NFL.
Teams are not going to like that. I'm sure. I don't think it's like a disqualifier for him, but I don't think it's a
when you're already that small and you've got the other stuff too, though. Like if this was like, I don't know, Fernando Mendoza or something like that, like teams would still pick him if he got forced into the other thing. Not like this.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see.
I think we're going to call time on this episode of the Jet Press podcast. Bill Musgrave and Carl Dunbar are Jets. Derek Carr maybe, and Sam Darnold was a Jet, and now he is a Super Bowl champion. And Justin, creator of perhaps one of the most viral moments in Jet Press history.
We're hyping this up too much.
It's still cool to get recognized.
It is cool. I'm happy I got that opportunity to speak with Sam. Again, he's a great dude. Just a wonderful guy. And I'm very, very happy for him specifically.
Take the guy to dinner first, man.
It was kind of lunch. He was eating. He had a couple of bites. It was funny because he was doing it was basically the prop. There were actual chicken tenders in front of him, but he wasn't like the amount of people that replied to that were like, "Oh, let the man eat his lunch," as if
we're not just like accosting him, like, "Hey,"
as if a group of reporters spawned around him to ask him questions. They're not noticing the mics on the table. This was a press conference, right? And he was doing some promotional stuff. But every time
I wonder if he's like how Sam Howell's one of those like I only eat chicken tenders kids. Like I wonder if Darnold's like that would be surprising. That'd be like the worst. Like every nutritionist would get fired. If it's like Sam Darnold only eats chicken tenders and he just won the Super Bowl, it's like, why am I doing all this?
Listen, it could be Will Levis. It could be worse. You could have worse food takes.
Hey,
this mailman.
Jets quarterback trade target?
Maybe. But it was every time he took a bite of the chicken tender, the whole crowd was like going nuts and like cheering him, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's a strange scene.
It was very strange.
You get applauded for eating chicken tenders?
Yes, they applauded him for doing anything.
Now I want some. I was gonna make some jambalaya, but now I really want some.
Go get some canes. Buddy.
There's one near me. I moved a couple months ago, and there was one by me at my old place, closer to Pennsylvania, where I went there. So like 10 minutes away. I put so much money in Todd Graves' pocket over there.
Yeah,
I feel obligated. I got to drive to like.
Todd was here yesterday too.
I got to drive like 40 minutes. I'm like, I'm driving 45 minutes near New York City to get chicken tenders.
That's fair. I'm obligated to say nice things about them, but I do like their chicken.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's good food. I just don't know if it's drive an hour into New York to get it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, buddy. Speaking of food, I'm hungry, so let's wrap this up.
I haven't had dinner yet.
That's true. Well, my brain, my stomach is still on East Coast time, so I'm getting pretty hungry. But yeah, man, what a fun couple of days it's been for me, and a fun week it's been for the New York Jets. Thank you all for joining us at this abnormal hour.
Jet Press After Dark is back.
Little Jet Press After Dark here. It's 7:30 on the West Coast, but as you can see up it is bright and sunny here.
Yeah, what a beautiful day of a gray building, and it's overcast.
I have a really nice view. Do you want me to pick up my laptop and carry you? It's actually a really nice view outside my hotel. Thank you all for joining us. On the show today, you can follow Mike on Twitter at @MyMikeChannel. Follow me on Twitter, Justin T. Fried. Follow JetPress and JetPress. Download JetPress Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe, and TikTok. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You guys know what to do. You can also become a member today. It is 99 cents. It's a great way to help support the show. We stream live every Wednesday, normally at 3 p.m. Eastern time, sometimes possibly a different time. Thank you all for joining us, or thank you all for listening to the JetPress Podcast, and apologies to any of my neighbors in this hotel, because these walls are thin, and they've most certainly heard.
How do you know that, Justin?
I've heard. I haven't heard anything. Hold on. JetPress After Dark. No,
put you up at, man.
I've heard voices. I know they're thin because
voice. Oh my god.
Well, if somebody's talking on the other end, I could hear them. So I know if anybody is in these rooms right now, they've listened to an hour and a half of us talking about the Jets. So I apologize to my neighbors if you can hear me.
Right after their team won a Super Bowl, they're like, I got to hear this.
They're listening to Jets. Anyway, thank you all for listening to JetPress Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano. See you guys next time.
Because we're living vicariously through Sam Darnold, we won a Super Bowl.
Kinda.